Welcome everybody to the Misfit Podcast, and we're going to be talking about, there wasn't a Raw review, and this is just right after Smackdown, but I was going to do a review of the whole Superstar Shakeup, and plus talk about some few tidbits that was happening on Raw and Smackdown. There was quite a bit of changes from Raw to Smackdown, and then from Smackdown to Raw, so one of the things that happened is that they switched up the announce team. So now David Otunga, who was on the announce team for SmackDown, is now on Raw, and Byron Saxton, who was on the announce team for Raw, is on SmackDown now. And we saw Byron Saxton with his first night on SmackDown, and it wasn't too bad. I didn't have no problem. It sounds a lot. Well, Byron Saxton is, in my opinion, a better announcer than David Otunga. David Otunga is just him. But that was one of the switches that happened tonight. But let's talk about the people that went from SmackDown to Raw. Like you said, David Otunga, he went over for the women's division on Raw. The Mickie James and Alexa Bliss both went from SmackDown to Raw, which it's pretty interesting because Alexa Bliss made a name for herself on SmackDown, and I feel like she made the women's division on SmackDown like her own. But then, they put Mickie James on there as well. So I guess it's the competition thing, which I'm happy about, because the Raw women's division was kind of stale compared to SmackDown. You always just had the same matches between Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Bayley. So this is a nice switch up. Maybe we'll see more of Alexa Bliss and more of Mickie James in the mix up. And plus you got Nia Jax thrown in there too as the dominant female that's going in there. So we'll see what happens. And then the tag team that went from SmackDown to Raw is Heath Slater and Rhino. They both went over to Raw as well. Just as much as Kalisto. Kalisto is a masked wrestler who was on SmackDown. I guess it's like one of those things, mask for mask. So SmackDown traded Kalisto to Raw, and then SmackDown got Sin Cara from Raw. So I guess it's one of those masks for a mask thing. I don't know. But then we have Bray Wyatt, who was the former WWE champion, and he's supposed to go in a match with Randy Orton for the WWE Championship in a House of Horrors match, but I guess they come to an agreement to have that on the next Raw exclusive pay-per-view, which is Payback, and they're going to have that match there. So I guess Randy Orton's going to be representing SmackDown, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if Bray Wyatt win it. If Bray Wyatt wins it, then the championship comes to Raw. But I'm thinking that Randy Orton is going to retain in that match. That's just my own personal opinion. Who else do we have? We had Kurt Hawkins from SmackDown, who came to Raw, and this one wasn't. I guess it's Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins is just a jobber, basically. He had his own coming soon type thing when he was coming back. He came back, and he's just been an entertainment factor, I guess you could say, jobber. Either way, he's on Raw now. And then Apollo Crews is also from SmackDown. He was actually named earlier in the day of Monday to be the first one that was traded to Raw. So Apollo Crews is now on Raw. See if he can get something going on Raw, because on SmackDown he was not. I would say he wasn't doing too bad, but it was just it. I don't know what they're gonna do with Apollo Crews. They really haven't done nothing with him ever since he came from NXT. And then what else do we have? The Miz and Maurice, they both came from SmackDown with their whole John Cena and Nikki Bella shtick. And also, who came out and was also from SmackDown, the WWE Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose. He also came as well. And he did a dirty deeds to Miz right in the middle of the ring when he was having one of those Dean Ambrose moments, confusing the Miz and John Cena. Miz telling him that it's not him, it's one of those Looney Tunes moments. You know how on Looney Tunes one starts dressing like the other, but then they don't want to be like that, and they have to try to convince everybody that that's not them because it's the real. They had to convince everybody that it's the real person. That's kind of like what happened between the Miz and Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose was like, "Oh, okay, well in that case," and then he did the dirty deeds to him right in the middle of the ring. So that was on the Raw side. That was on the Raw show of all the trade ups that happened on that side. And like we said, Byron Saxton over to SmackDown from Raw. And we also talked about, who was it? We talked about Sin Cara, who was also on SmackDown from Raw. So who else did we come? It was also announced that they got the tag team of Heath Slater and Rhino, but now the New Day is going to be coming on SmackDown soon. It's one of those coming soon type vignettes. We'll see how that goes. They've lost the Raw tag team titles on Raw, and then they really haven't been winning too much. They didn't even have a match at WrestleMania. WrestleMania they were the hosts, and ever since then, I think they've been losing. It's kind of like they were the longest tag team champions, and then all of a sudden they're jobbing out to other tag teams. That's just how it looks in my eyes. That's how it looks like how the New Day are being used. So who else came over? It was also announced that Rusev from Raw is coming to SmackDown now, and Lana with the whole vignette type dancing on a chair on the entryway. Yeah, red dress and everything. But yeah, Lana is coming also to SmackDown. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a minute. And also, we saw American Alpha win against the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. There's too much Raw and SmackDown going on at the same time, but Usos ended up winning that match, which was actually a pretty good match. These two gelled really well together. But at the end of the match, after the Usos retained their championships, American Alpha was in the middle of the ring, and then, one of them, who was it? Chad Gable, who was in the middle of the ring, and then Jason Jordan was still on the outside, and then the Shining Stars came out, but it seems like they're not the gimmick part of them trying to sell, the timeshares and whatnot. They just seemed like they had a little bit of attitude with them. It's kind of like the attitude change that the Usos had. Usos were fun and jumping around and just Usos all over the place, but now they had that, the attitude change. They're a little bit more real in a sense, I guess you want to say. So it looks like the Shining Stars are gonna be doing that. I mean, everything is different on SmackDown. Then we also had Shane McMahon, who came out, and he was talking about the future of the women's division on the women's division on SmackDown, and he had each woman that's on SmackDown come out. Also, the SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi came out as well, and he had them all out. He talked about the next acquisition that he got, daughter of a Hall of Famer, second generation. He was going on, and I thought it was, I really thought he was going to call Charlotte out right then and there. I thought he was, but everybody thought, he was going to call Charlotte out. Then he calls out Tamina Snuka, who is the daughter of a Hall of Famer, late Jimmy Superfly Snuka, but it kind of, people were just all like, what? I don't get it. And then he was about to leave the ring, and then he goes, it's not, you guys don't, I wasn't expecting that, I think you guys were expecting somebody else. So then he also brought out the daughter, who is a second generation superstar or wrestler, either way you want to say it. He brought out Charlotte, who is the daughter of Hall of Famer, two-time Hall of Famer, actually, if you want to talk about it, for in his own right, and with the Four Horsemen, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And now Charlotte is now on SmackDown. And Charlotte, I feel like, is the top of all the women's division. She's done a lot more than any of them have in this past what is it? Not divas, because that all over this whole women's revolution. There we go. And yeah, so now Charlotte is now on SmackDown. Who else do we have? Jinder Mahal, who went against what's his name, Mojo Rawling, and these two were in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and they had that whole Gronkowski, just that whole Gronkowski moment, and they were in Boston tonight, so New England Patriots, and Gronkowski was also in the crowd again, and they had an okay match, and it happened when they were on the outside, and Jinder Mahal got to the face of Gronkowski again. Mojo Rawley, he hit him on the back, and then he was just leaning against the barricade, and Gronkowski was talking about the beer and everything, and he threw a beer in Jinder Mahal's face, and then Mojo Rawley went in, beat him. So yeah, there's Jinder Mahal again with that whole thing. It's WrestleMania flashbacks. Who else do we have? Sami Zayn came back. He came back in an opening segment, which featured the United States WWE United States champion Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is now from Raw to SmackDown, and he was talking about how this is the new Kevin Owens show, that this is his show, this everything and whatnot. That prompted Baron Corbin to come out, and he says that he could be anybody, because that's what Kevin Owens said. He could be anybody that was in the crowd. He can be anybody that was in the backstage. And Baron Corbin came out and he says, yeah, you can probably beat anybody in this building. You could probably be anybody in the back, but you cannot beat up me. And then that's when Sami Zayn came out, and then Kevin Owens looks like, how, I left Raw. I thought, I got rid of you. But no, Sami Zayn came over. He's also from Raw to SmackDown. And so Kevin Owens is all like, what? Just, no, I don't want you here. That type of thing, And then that's when the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, came out. And he talked about how he, not going anywhere, which I'm happy about. I'm really happy that AJ Styles did not go from SmackDown to Raw. I like him on SmackDown better. And like AJ Styles said, he's the one that basically made SmackDown the way it is after the whole draft from last year. And I feel like that's a true statement. AJ Styles did put life into SmackDown. And this had Daniel Bryan come out, and he talked about how Kevin Owens can't defend his title until after Payback, because he has to still put the title up at Payback, which is the Raw pay-per-view. So he talked about the triple threat match, putting the triple threat match for the number one contendership for the WWE United States Championship. That was between Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, and AJ Styles, which we'll talk about now, because that was an awesome match. That one was a very good match, and you put AJ Styles in anything, AJ Styles will make anybody look good. And I think it's kind of I guess it's kind of different putting AJ Styles in the WWE United States Championship match, but I guess it's also in a way of resurrecting the United States Championship. I mean, you got Kevin Owens who has it, but then if he retains, then put AJ Styles in there and everything should be good. I mean, Randy Orton's got to deal with Bray Wyatt, and I don't know what they're gonna do with Randy Orton after Bray Wyatt after Payback. But AJ Styles, it'll be another title on his resume, which is good. So, I think those were all the trade-ups that happened on both shows. But then you had Dolph Ziggler, who came out, and he's talking about how he's the one that put SmackDown on his back. He's the one that talked about how everybody wants to come here, but he's the one that made SmackDown the way it is. And if anybody has a problem with that, put it up with him, I guess. And that's when Shinsuke Nakamura came out. Shinsuke Nakamura, he had the crowd in his hands. I mean, this guy. I mean, there's NXT always has some like some of the wrestlers that come from NXT. They have a bad transition when they come over because some people don't embrace them like they were in NXT. It's different when you come from NXT and you go to the main roster, but it seems like the whole transition for Shinsuke Nakamura is not a rookie or anything, because he did establish himself. He is an established wrestler. Everybody knows who Shinsuke Nakamura is, but it's one of those things to where it's like it's hard from a transition. But he came out, crowd was crowd was going with his music, crowd was yelling Shinsuke Nakamura, and AJ, or not AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler was like, "Who are you?" Trying to make it seem like Shinsuke Nakamura is nobody. I mean, how you gonna say Shinsuke Nakamura is nobody? But Shinsuke Nakamura got the mic, said, "You want to know who I am?" And he says, "I'm Shinsuke Nakamura." And that's when everybody went crazy again. Everybody was cheering for Shinsuke Nakamura again, and that's when Dolph Ziggler was all like, "Okay, well, I'll just leave you to it." And he turned around, and it seemed like he was, you can tell he was gonna, try to do a super kick, but he tried to do a super kick, and Shinsuke Nakamura grabbed his leg. Shinsuke Nakamura pushed him back, and Dolph Ziggler fell down, and Shinsuke Nakamura did his whole "come on," where he tells him, to kind of like bring it, and Dolph Ziggler says, "You want to go now?" And the Shinsuke says yes. And Dolph Ziggler, being the healer that he is, he goes, "Okay." Then he falls down underneath the ropes and he leaves. And that's when Shinsuke Nakamura just ended that little segment right there. But overall, the Monday show was okay. I feel like SmackDown did better this week. It's kind of like one of those things to where last week it was post Mania, and I feel like Raw did better on post Mania, but this week I feel like that SmackDown had the better momentum. Not momentum, but off of anything. But I feel like they had a better show overall. Raw was okay. I think it's just one of those things to where it's like, okay, now after WrestleMania, we're back to our regular process of how everything goes. But I feel like SmackDown did a lot better, and overall, it was a good show. So that's what I have to say about the whole Superstar Shakeup. It was okay. We got different people going against each other now. So it'll be like this until next year. Next year, they're gonna do another shakeup. So you never know. They might do something during the year. I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe someone's gonna be like, "I don't want to be here, so I'll leave." So then there's gonna be something during the year. So we'll see how that goes. But if you guys really like this and you guys were interested in hearing some more, we do this every week for Raw and SmackDown, and also we are trying to get into the motion of doing more gaming videos as well. So if you guys are interested in gaming videos, or if you guys want to see us play a certain game that we just haven't had on the channel, or we just don't, you guys just want to see, then feel free to comment that also, or anything like that. So thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next time.